We are hyper-focusing today on analytics and really leveraging them, learning how to implement. We are going to focus on how to use the analytics in your Leadpages dashboard, as well as some third-party tools. So I'm going to teach you how to implement Facebook Pixels, Google Analytics, and actually introduce you to a platform that I really love to use with my Leadpages account, Hotjar. The first part of this is kind of the foundation of your analytics, and that's really your Leadpages analytics dashboard. I'm going to be giving you some visuals here in a minute, but on all of our plan levels, you're going to get these base analytics. You're going to be able to see total visitors for every page you create. You're going to be able to see the unique visitors. You're going to be able to see like how many people have opted into your forms, and you're going to have the ability to kind of manually decide if you want to track button clicks. On some campaigns that may not be necessary, but on others it may be super helpful to have that information. Now on our Pro and Advanced plans, you can kind of take it a step further because you do gain access to our checkout widget and our split testing tool. So when it comes to the checkout widget, we will track total earnings that you've earned off of that checkout, as well as just the number of people who have opted in. I want you to know that split testing allows you to use your data in a little bit more of an efficient way. At the end of the day, it allows you to tie multiple versions of a page together and direct the traffic to both. And at that point, you're making decisions faster because you're calculating the conversion rates of those different variations all at the same time. Now let's take a little deeper dive into the analytics dashboard inside of your Leadpages account. Now, the first screenshot that you see at the top here is truly a snapshot of your analytics. You're getting that unique visitor count, the conversions number, and that's calculated out into a conversion rate. Now, when it comes down to it, this is going to give you a snapshot of if those pages are working. I always recommend taking a deeper look at your analytics. The snapshot is a great kind of first initial view. If I see a 47% conversion rate on my freebie page, I'm like, oh, that's super solid. Like I'm good to go. But at the end of the day, we can always try to optimize those campaigns further. Now, when you click on that analytics button in your main dashboard, that's when you're going to be able to see kind of what's reflected in that bottom screenshot, where you can search by date range. You can focus on specific data like conversion rates, visitors, all of that good stuff to help you spot trends a little bit easier. That graph is going to help you visually see when you have lulls in your lead generation. Maybe there's some strategic decisions just by spotting those trends. So don't just rely on the snapshot, take a deeper dive, look at different dates, see how things are playing out, maybe on the weekends versus the weekdays. It can really help you understand more of what's going on in your business when it comes to these lead gen campaigns. You'll hear Bob all the time say, take action, revise later. This is kind of my approach to that. I always say launch those campaigns, review them, and then we optimize. We're using the analytics and the review process to make strategic decisions so that we can optimize the campaign and get more leads. That's really the bottom line. Now, I've got some examples highlighted on the right-hand side. We have 3 more after this, but I wanted to give you these examples because at the end of the day, when we're making observations of our analytics, we can then make kind of hypotheses moving forward, and we can then test small adjustments. So for example, if you have lots of views on your page and absolutely no conversions, or maybe your conversion rate is just really small and you want to get it bigger, at that point in time, I would suggest making small adjustments to your landing page. Your traffic is clearly working, your traffic strategy, but the landing page isn't converting those into leads. So I kind of strategically put copy and design in the parentheses there, copy being the first word. At the end of the day, copywriting can make a huge impact on your conversion rates. So I hyper focus on that first when I'm optimizing campaigns, because if we're not really connecting with our target audience correctly, that can really hurt the overall conversion rate of our page. So to be honest, I hyper focus on that hero section first to make sure that within 5 to 10 seconds, people are understanding what it is that I'm offering and why it matters to them. Really, and how to take action. I think that if people get confused on how to take action, they're not going to do it. Lots of views, no conversions. We're making small adjustments to the landing page. Now let's kind of take it in a different direction. If you have absolutely no views on your landing pages, that's when we need to make adjustments to your traffic strategy. Now, if you're working with paid traffic, that could be something related to an ad creative and adjusting that so that it maybe catches people's attention a little bit more in the feed. Maybe you need to adjust your targeting. Maybe if you're working with social media platforms, we have to ask questions like, how easy are we making it for people to get to that page? Do we need to make adjustments to how we are communicating in our reels and our posts and things of that nature? The third example here, Leadpages is not going to be able to tell you whether or not people are scrolling on your page and actually making it to the end. That is something that Hotjar will give you the ability to do. And I'm not saying that you have to invest in another platform. I want to debunk that right away. Hotjar actually gives you this data for free with their basic plan. But if you notice that people are not scrolling down on your page, think about the decisions that you can make when it comes to optimizing your page. You can make adjustments to the page length itself. You could adjust the copywriting. You could add in more visual entry points to guide people through your page. There's a lot that we can work with there and test. Now, again, with the Leadpages easy to read graph in the overall dashboard, you can pay attention to those seasonal trends. Kind of already talked about that a little bit. And then when you're working with Facebook pixels, let's say that you are running an ad campaign to your landing pages, you can use that Facebook pixel to identify if you're reaching the right audience. They will tell you the age, the gender, all of those different things of your audience inside of their analytic dashboard. You can also use Facebook to identify what devices your audience is using, and then you can adjust your landing pages accordingly. The majority of folks here are going to be optimizing for mobile devices, that the majority of your traffic will be coming from mobile devices. You have the ability to optimize for different devices using your Leadpages subscription. Now, the first kind of implementation strategy that I want to highlight today is related to how to use Leadpages and Facebook together. Really how to implement that Facebook tracking pixel to gain insights. Right at the foundation here, when it comes to Facebook pixels, we have to recognize that there's two different types of pixels. We have a base pixel and we have an event pixel. The base pixel tracks page views, and that goes across all of your pages. I'm talking landing pages, sales pages, thank you pages, all of them. Now, your event pixel is going to track specific events. That should only go on your thank you pages or the page after an event has actually taken place. And I'll kind of get into that a little bit more here in a moment. But it is important to remember that there's two different types of pixels. Now, the first step is to find your base pixel. Once you are in Ads Manager, you're going to see a tab on the left-hand side that says All Tools. You can see that reflected next to the number 1 there. Then you're going to click into Events Manager. And then once you're in Events Manager, that's when you can click where it says number 3, the Data Sources button. That's where we're finding our pixel. Now, once you get into your data sources, it's going to pull you into this browser tab. And it's not shown here, unfortunately. It'll show in another screenshot. But ultimately, it's going to place you exactly where you need to go. It's an overview tab. And once you scroll down just a little bit, you're going to see the gray button here that says Add Events. From there, you're going to click on From a New Website, and that's when you're going to be able to actually install the code manually on your landing pages. So when you click on this blue button that says Install Code Manually, it's going to bring you to this kind of other module. At the end of the day, if you haven't created your pixel yet, that is step number 1. But assuming that you already have a pixel created, it's kind of step number 2 where it says install base code that you're going to click. And then you'll be able to click on that green button next to number 2 that says copy code. Now, once you've copied that base code, that's when we're going to actually use it inside of Leadpages. And again, this base code goes on landing pages, it goes on sales pages, it goes on thank you pages, it goes on all of your pages. I can't stress to you enough that we need it on all pages for this to work properly, okay? So now that we've got that down, you're gonna click inside of the landing page that you're working on. You're gonna first click on the settings bar on the left-hand panel. Then you're gonna click Analytics, and then in that kind of right where it says 3, you're going to paste the base pixel inside of your head tracking code section. Once you have saved and updated your page, that's when we go to the next step. That's when we add your event code to your thank you pages. Facebook has a really awesome tool. It's called Event Setup Tool, and it's also available within your Ads Manager. So again, we're clicking on Ads Manager, and then we're clicking All Tools, and we're going to Events Manager again. We recognize this screen from before. We were just in that Overview tab grabbing the base code, but now we're in the Settings tab here. From there, we are turning on that we want to track events automatically without coding. And then we're going to click on Open Event Setup Tool, this little gray button here. Now, once you click on Open Event Setup Tool, that's when you're going to see this box pop up. Now, again, this step must be taken after placing your base pixel on your thank you page. It won't work if your base pixel is not there. So once you paste the thank you page URL in this box, you're going to click on the blue button there that says Open Website. And it's actually going to bring up your website in another browser tab. And this little toolbox is going to show up on the left-hand side of your browser. Now, one important note here is that we don't want to track new buttons. We want to track a URL. If you track a new button using this tool, you are likely to have like duplicate results. So we want to make sure that we're just tracking a URL. And when you click on that button, you're going to see this screen here. And it's going to actually have you select an event you'd like to track. Typically, when you're working inside of Leadpages, you're going to select that lead event. You may want to select a different event. Maybe you want to say something like they purchased a product or something like that. But for the most part, I find that people use the lead event. Once you select that event, it's going to ask you if you want to assign a value. So again, if you were to be using it for a sales page, you could say, okay, when this sale is registered inside of Facebook, it equals $97. Whatever cost your product is. But since we're tracking leads in this scenario, we're going to say don't include a value. And then you're going to click in the bottom kind of right-hand corner, that blue button that says confirm. The next portion of our session is going to hyper-focus on Google and Hotjar. Now, when it comes to Google, there's kind of two different routes you can take, or you can kind of combine the two together. From my understanding, essentially there's Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager. Some businesses choose to just use Google Analytics. Some businesses choose to just go with Google Tag Manager. Some use them in combination. Essentially, they track page views and events very similarly to the Facebook pixel. Now, inside of Leadpages, we're pasting the GA4, the Google Analytics 4 property ID, into the ID box on all of your pages. If you're working with Google Tag Manager code, that code is going to go into the head tracking code section across all of your pages. So it's very similar approaches to either one. You'll have to kind of do a deeper look into what makes the most sense for your business case. But at the end of the day, I am going to just highlight for you that whether you're using the Google Analytics GA4 code versus Google Tag Manager, you're still coming to the same place inside of your Leadpages account. You're still clicking on the settings box on the left-hand side. You're clicking Analytics. And then if you're working with the GA4 measurement ID, you're going to pay attention to where it says number 1 on the screenshot there. If you're working with Google Tag Manager coding, you're going to pay attention to kind of that second box, the head tracking code section. But again, this coding goes across all of your pages. That's the most important note. Now you can set up events for these within Google Analytics and within Google Tag Manager. So the event part of this process is more so hyper-focused inside of Google versus working inside of Leadpages. Now, last but not least, I'm hyper-focused on Hotjar and how to use Hotjar with Leadpages so that you can record user sessions and heat maps. If you're not familiar with the term heat maps, I'll kind of get into that in a moment. But truly, with their basic free plan, you are able to generate user heat maps and recordings. So it tracks user sessions to be able to give you data. This is also an opportunity where you can gather feedback. And it allows you to create 3 surveys and feedback widgets with that free plan. So you can get some more qualitative data about your users. It does give you unlimited seats, and it really does have an easy installation process with Leadpages. So let's take a closer look. So again, the main purpose of this is so that you get heat maps and recordings of that user interaction on your landing pages and websites. You're able to see what page elements users click on the most. You're able to see how far users are scrolling down on your page, which can be super important on sales related pages. You can see where users are moving their mouse on their screen. So you can kind of see if there's any patterns, is really what I'm trying to say there. It's pretty easy to get started in Hotjar. They have a lot of really great getting started walkthroughs that you can work through. In this particular case, when you're in the overview tab, you'll see kind of this drop down menu here, and it's where you can add a new site. So essentially when you add a site, it's going to ask you for a couple bits of information. It's going to ask you to place a tracking code so that it can verify that you own that landing page or website. So just to give you another visual inside of Leadpages, again, the coding that Hotjar provides you is going to go into that head tracking code section. One nice thing about third-party tracking code is that it's all pretty consistent with one another. We're clicking on the settings tab, we're clicking analytics, and then we're copying and pasting some code into your landing page. The most important part inside of the Leadpages end of things is that you're clicking this blue save button here. And then in the kind of farther right-hand corner, you're going to want to update or publish your page so that that tracking code is installed properly. Now, again, we're utilizing these tools to get to more conclusions. So we're launching, we're reviewing these different data points, and we're optimizing our campaigns from there. So just to repeat a couple, because they're super important to remember, if you have lots of views and no conversions, we're making small adjustments to the landing page. If you have no views, make adjustments to your traffic strategy. If you notice that people are not scrolling down on your sales pages, adjust the page length, add in visual entry points, utilize kind of your knowledge in copywriting and make adjustments. Read your copywriting. This is kind of a side note, but read your copywriting through the eyes of your audience. It's super important to do so that you can catch things before you launch it in the first place. Couple others. Pay attention to those seasonal trends. Make plans ahead of time. Don't wait until Black Friday, Cyber Monday to come up with a strategy for it, is a good example. And then two kind of bonus ones when it comes to Hotjar. Utilize Hotjar's heat maps to identify engagement and where visitors are converting or bouncing off of your page. And then use Hotjar's feedback tools to survey and collect qualitative data when appropriate. We don't want to have that feedback or survey tool on, like, for example, like a landing page. Like, we wouldn't want to add it there, but we might want to add it to our website. So you can utilize that as well. I do want to just take a moment to thank you for joining and to just learning a little bit more about how this data can help you optimize. At the end of the day, it's super powerful information. I know that at kind of the forefront, when you're thinking about the analytics that you have access to, it can feel a little bit like, I don't know, maybe not as impactful, but as you have seen through those examples, you can actually make very powerful decisions in your business based on these analytics. So take this, run with it, make sure that all of your third-party tracking is good to go. Again, that Meta Pixel helper is perfect for that Facebook Pixel implementation, but I just want to thank you guys for your time today.